Today's episode is sponsored by Happy Healthy Hippie. If you guys are listening to this, you're no doubt looking for ways to boost your vitality, support your health, and just feel better. When it comes to supplements, I know it takes a lot of trial and error to find what works for you and what you specifically really need. Well, I'm excited to tell you guys today about a brand that has made choosing supplements easy, and I'm really enjoying them. They're called Happy Healthy Hippie, and they are a line of intentionally crafted, earth-grown herbal supplements to help support your whole self. I love that, coming at it from a whole self perspective. The ones that I've been taking are called Joy Filled and Be Grounded, and I immediately love that they're all about holistic, high-quality support. Joy Filled was made to help combat worries and anxieties, to uplift your mood, and to sustain your energy levels. And after taking them regularly, I am happy to report that my stress levels do feel noticeably different. Be Grounded was made to calm both your body and your mind. And again, after taking it, I do feel just a little bit more centered, which is huge for me. As you all know, especially going into this time of year, it's a great time to support your wellness routine with natural, effective, and simple supplements. I know that we all want to feel better daily, and then we all deserve that. Happy Healthy Hippie was created out of passion for living intentionally, well-being, and soaking up the simple wonders of the world. And if you want to join the rest of their happy, healthy customers, you are in luck today, guys. I have an exclusive deal for Infertile AF listeners. You can get 50% off your first subscription when you visit happyhealthyhippie.com/infertileaf. That's spelled happyhealthyhippie.com/infertileaf. And this is Happy Healthy Hippie's best offer right now. So get in on the goodness now. Order today for free shipping and 50% off your first subscription at happyhealthyhippie.com/infertileaf.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our Black Friday sale. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on all smart beds when you add a base. And Cyber Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Hey guys, it's Allie. Welcome back to Infertile AF, the podcast. This is episode 197 called Jess. Today's episode is sponsored by PROOV, a women's health company dedicated to providing information, proactive fertility testing, and support so they can reach their goals faster. When PROOV founder and PhD scientist Amy was trying to get pregnant, she suffered miscarriage after miscarriage, and no test or doctor could explain why. She ultimately turned to IVF to have her son. It was only after she uncovered the source of her troubles, a problem with ovulation, that she successfully conceived, this time only needing a simple, inexpensive supplement. She then set out to create an accurate, effective diagnostic to empower women to test at home. Did you know that ovulation is more than a yes or a no? In fact, it's possible to release an egg, but still not have enough progesterone, the hormone released after ovulation, to support implantation. PROOV measures a hormone released after ovulation called PDG that supports implantation in pregnancy and tracks this hormone during the implantation window. A clinical study showed that sustained elevated PDG levels during the implantation window was associated with a 75% increase in successful pregnancies. If PROOV testing kits uncover potential issues, the fix can be simple. PROOV can also support you with further resources, from science-backed supplements to connections with fertility doctors. PROOV is truly a game-changing innovation for those battling infertility. So check out PROOV, which is spelled PROOV. My favorite part is that they're giving Infertile AF listeners a special discount code. So go to PROOVTest, that's PROOVTEST.com, enter the code ALLIE25, and you'll get 25% off your first PROOV order of $25 or more. Again, that's PROOVTest.com. Use code ALLIE, ALI25, and you'll get 25% off your first PROOV order of $25 or more. Thanks, PROOV. This episode is supported by RECEPTIVA DX. The RECEPTIVA DX test can help couples struggling with unexplained infertility. Getting pregnant isn't easy, as so many of you know. Many couples struggle with infertility, and unexplained infertility can be particularly frustrating. Women facing unsuccessful IVF may not know that endometriosis is the underlying cause, a disease that can impact the success rates of IVF treatments and often has no symptoms. The RECEPTIVA DX test can help identify endometriosis before an embryo transfer, and it has the potential to save women the stress, anxiety, and cost of multiple failed IVF attempts. The good news is multiple studies show treatment of women with a positive RECEPTIVA DX test improves live birth outcomes by over 50%. RECEPTIVA DX can detect all stages of endometriosis and help women make better decisions in planning for pregnancy. You can learn more at receptivadx.com or download their app, which is also called RECEPTIVA DX. Okay, so today I am talking to a dear friend of mine who I met through Instagram. Her name is Jess Veit, and she is an IVF warrior and advocate, and now mama to her rainbow baby, whose nickname is Sunny. You probably know her from Instagram at One Sunny Story. That's where everybody follows her. Her content is really great and authentic and real. And today she's going to tell us how she got here, including the 9 years of family building, 6 IUIs, 6 FETs, and her 1 miracle baby. And she's also going to tell us what is happening next in her family building journey. So some big news at the end. Definitely stick around. Stay tuned for that. I always love talking to her. She's just really fucking cool. So without further ado, this is Jess's infertility story. Oh my gosh, Jess, I have been wanting to do this particular episode with you for so long, and I'm so happy we're finally doing it.
I am too. Thank you so much for having me, Allie.
Thank you for doing this. So
Yes.
we've known each other for a while just through Instagram and stuff, but I feel like I know you, and I definitely consider you a friend. Not to sound weird. I hope you feel the same.
Nope,
Like,
I feel the same way, girl.
Okay. But you're just one of these people that like has always been so supportive. You've always like reached out and vice versa. Like I've followed your story. I feel like this bond, you know, that bond that we always talk about that, you know, you don't even have to meet people in real life, but I've always felt that way with you. So
Totally.
Thank you for doing this. And let's just start at the beginning as I usually do and ask, did you always want to be a mom?
Oh my gosh, yes. You remember like in school when they would like go around the class and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everybody's like, I want to be a nurse or a flight attendant or the president. I always was like, I want to be a mom. Like that's all I want to do. I come from a family of 6. I'm the oldest of 6. So my mom is like, she's my idol. Like just watching her, you know, raise all of us kids. Like that's what I wanted to do. Like that was my dream. And you know, years and years later, finally being here in 2022 and having a son and being a mom, and I work part-time from home. It's like, you know, I couldn't ask for more. So living the dream for sure, finally.
Yes. So there was a long road to get to where you are today, and we will get into all that. But before we do that, tell me about like sex education for you growing up. What did you know about your body? What did you know about fertility? What did you know about like reproduction? You know, we talk about this a lot, and it's a common theme that not many people knew much. So I'd love to hear what you went through.
A great opening question. Honestly, in school, like we had the sex education class where you put the condom on the banana. I think that was like sometime in high school. Sex was really, really bad. Like we didn't talk about it. Don't even look at a boy. Don't kiss a boy. Yeah, it was not talked about. I ended up getting on birth control, like I want to say a year after having my period. And it wasn't because my parents, you know, wanted me to not like have sex, but I had really bad, painful periods when as soon as they started, like, I just remember flooding and just being in bed, having to take days off of school. And so of course, like the OB's like first line of defense was, oh, let's put her on birth control.
Totally. So, oh my God. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have said that exact same thing. It's just like, go on the pill. And it, you know,
Yeah.
it's like the Band-Aid and it does work for most people, but you don't really know what the underlying cause is and
Yeah.
causes so many issues later in life as what we all come to find out.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not
And
saying going on the pill causes issues. I'm saying not knowing what's
yes.
really going on with your body.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, like you said, like a Band-Aid. Like they didn't know, you know, I was so young and they just slapped the pill on me and I took it and it made me super hormonal and crazy. But I thought that that was like all normal. And now, you know, I'm sure, you know, before an FET cycle, a lot of OBs prescribe birth control.
Mm-hmm.
And now finally having an experience where I was pregnant, like it's wild, but I feel when I'm on birth control, like I'm pregnant, like I'm nauseous, I'm bloated,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hormonal, I'm weepy. And so, you know, back then when I was like a young girl, like I thought that that was just normal. And I'm sure it was
Yes.
like a mixture of, you know, teen hormones too, but
100%.
yeah, as far as sex education, there was not a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think that is changing now. You know,
Right,
there's a lot of good books out there and there's a lot of advocates out there who are trying to change the narrative and, you know, at least touch on fertility and touch on, you know, these, you don't have to get deep into it, obviously, but the scared straight like tactic that I had at least, which was just like, if you don't use protection, you're going to get knocked up and then you're a whore, you know, it's like so extreme. And everybody just thought it was really easy to get pregnant, I guess is the bottom line.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's like lately, and I don't know if it's because I'm more open about my journey, but it's so crazy and sad, but also humbling to see how many women go through it and how many more women are talking about it. Like when we started trying to conceive, I didn't talk about it like at all. Like it was between me and my husband, and that was the only two souls that knew about our struggles. And I mean, that's a really lonely world. So I'm thankful for platforms like this, you know, social media that and Fertility Rally, like you guys do such an incredible job at making people feel like they're a part of a community and seen and heard. And so
thank you.
Yeah.
And you've been a part of some of our really fun events too. So thank you for everything that you do, and your social media as well has been really great. Tell me how you met your husband.
Oh my gosh. We met at a concert.
You guys are so cute, by the way.
Thank you. We met at a concert at Red Rocks.
Sweet.
Yeah. And there were drugs and alcohol involved.
What kind of drugs?
Acid.
Okay. I don't care about the alcohol. I just want to know what kind of drugs.
We used to be pretty like hardcore festival goers.
Okay.
And we've since settled down a lot. But yeah, I met him. He was this like, he still is beautiful, but he was this beautiful, like redheaded, dready guy. And at Red Rocks, you're not allowed to do this anymore, but you used to be able to like climb the hill and hike behind the actual amphitheater, and the sound from the concert would like funnel down and hit against the rocks. And it was like you were in the concert, but you can't see, you know, who's performing, but you could hear it.
Yeah. So, especially when you're like tripping your balls off.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is where we met. We met in 2008 and we ended up, you know, hooking up and getting together soon after that. And we moved in together in like, I think 2010. And then we ended up getting married in 2014. So we've been together for quite a while.
Yeah. Did you get married at Red Rocks?
We got married right down the street from Red Rocks at this place called the Fort. It's
cool.
It's a restaurant, but it overlooks like Red Rocks.
Okay. So that would be a sweet wedding.
Oh my gosh. And we tried so hard to get married there, but Red Rocks didn't do like a lot of wedding venues back then. And now that's like all they do. So,
oh, really?
Like,
I've never
bummer.
been there. It's on my list of places to go.
Oh, Allie, you have to go.
Yes.
It is.
All right.
It is like the most incredible thing. We're actually going this Thursday for Tyler Childers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that
is.
Oh yeah, you gotta look him up. He's in the same genre as like Chris Stapleton, like the Steel Drivers.
Okay. Maybe we'll do like a fertility rally. We always talk about the places we want to go and have events. Maybe we can do a Red Rocks, like IRL. That would be so fun to go see a show.
Please come to Colorado. Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
That'd be awesome. Okay. So you guys got married, and then when did you guys, I'm sure you talked about family building before you got married. What was the state of mind? Were you guys on the same page? Did you want, the same size family? Yeah. So what did you guys cover?
Yeah. So we started trying to conceive 2013. That's when we like started talking about it. And we kind of just like, stopped using protection. I got off birth control. We didn't use condoms, like all of it. Mm-hmm. And we tried to do that for 2 years and nothing was happening. I was like, well, this is kind of weird. Maybe it's normal. Maybe it's not. So, and we were pretty open about like what we wanted. Like Ryan, it's him and his sister. But he knows, I came from a huge family and he knew I wanted, a large family from the start. Yeah. So he knew where my heart was. He knew I wanted to be a mom and he was all about it. And he still is. So, so we, tried to conceive, nothing was happening. And then finally I went to my OBGYN and they did, like the baseline test, like did an ultrasound and they were like, oh, everything looks fine. And so they put me on Clomid and we did a bunch of like timed intercourse cycles for about a year.
Okay.
And nothing had happened, but I always remember being in my OB's office and they took out like that trigger shot, that goes in your ass. And they were like, okay, well, let's try this like as a Hail Mary for your last time before you go to a fertility clinic. And so we did a trigger shot and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to like ovulate a ton and get pregnant with like triplets.
It's going to happen of multiples. Yeah.
And I just remember seeing that shot like, oh, hell no. And then, obviously nothing happened. And then we ended up going to our first RE right after that. And this was somebody a friend had recommended. And I remember going in there with Ryan and we were like, deer in headlights. Like we had no idea what to expect. And this guy like straight up was like a car salesman, like just talking about prices. And
oh God.
It was a horrible experience for like our first introduction into the fertility clinic world.
Yeah. So it's so funny that you say that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no,
my husband said those same exact words when we went to our first clinic.
Yeah.
Which we did end up going with, but I went alone and then he went separately to kind of suss it out. And he was like, don't like it. It was all about money. And it was all about, he's like, I felt like it was like a used car salesman. That wasn't my doctor who he was talking about, but it was whoever was handling the financial bit of it. And I remember him saying that. And I was like, this isn't like a money issue. This is like a baby issue. Like it was, we had such a disconnect because he had such a bad experience and they just like were focusing on the financials and the money and all that.
Oh, and for your first experience too, like it's just terrible. Like I think some fertility clinics have gotten better with their bedside manners on how to approach couples, especially like brand new couples to the world. But it kind of jaded us. So we went back to my OB and was like, hey, can you recommend somebody to us? And he ended up recommending us to somebody he went to school with. And long story short, it was terrible, but we ended up spending almost 2 years with this doctor here in Denver. And she didn't even do like a bunch of the baseline tests. Like she just was going off of what my OB said. And so we got there and she was like, okay, well, let's start on IUIs. Like didn't even like test, like do a normal blood workup or thyroid workup or nothing. And I was like, okay, like, when you start the process, you don't really know. And I had not talked about our journey. So I didn't have anything to go off of. Like nobody was telling me like, hey, maybe you should question this or whatnot. But so we started with her and we ended up doing 6 IUIs, which is crazy, like way too many. Like we should have stopped at like 3.
Yeah. But, and what was your state of mind? Like while you're going through this, like, how were you guys doing like emotionally and mentally?
It was so much. I was like, I cannot believe like how many shots we're having to do and how many pills and IUIs. I mean, going through that and then now having gone through 2 retrievals and all the embryo transfers, like that was a walk in the park, but not to be insensitive, because IUI is very taxing and tolling on your relationship. IUIs almost seemed like it was more drawn out because the 2-week wait was longer. And the whole process was like more of like a gamble. So yeah, we were just kind of like steadfast, like going for it. We didn't really like stop to breathe. We just kept going and going and going. And then after that last 6 IUI, I was like, okay, well, clearly this is not working and I don't want to keep doing IUIs. So we had talked about doing IVF, which was absolutely like terrifying. Like I remember when I started this journey, I was like, there's absolutely no way we'll ever have to do that. Cause I remember seeing like videos of women taking all these injections and all the, retrievals and pills. And I was like, that is so crazy. I don't know how women do that. But we ended up doing it.
Yeah.
And
did you have any friends who were going through it, or anybody that you were close with? No, same.
No. Yeah. I mean, and I opened up about our journey on social media. I want to say like a couple months into starting like IVF. And so we had our egg retrieval, and then I finally opened up to it, and Blair was actually like one of my first Insta friends.
Nice.
And we like, clicked and connected right away, and she was so supportive. And I was like, this is like a whole new world to me. Like, this is amazing. Other women are going through this. And so I just slowly like started sharing our journey and just like little tidbits here and there. My husband is he's a very private person. So there was like a lot of things where I, obviously didn't share to be mindful of him. And I still, walk that thin line with him because I don't want to overstep his privacy. But, But yeah, so we ended up going back to that clinic. So we ended up doing a retrieval with them. Didn't test our embryos because the doctor was like, you're so young. And quote from her, she was saying that she said, we're so young that it would be a waste of time and money if we tested our embryos.
Okay.
And
this is the same doctor that you were with for the 2 years. Okay.
Yeah. With all the IUIs and the IVF. And I was like, okay, well, that was in a way like reassuring to me. Cause I was like, okay, cool. We're young. Like our embryos are great. So we ended up getting 8 embryos, and I had, this is the first time we've ever done any of this. So I was like letting her lead and trusting everything that she was doing.
Right.
And like I said, she didn't do any tests. We just did like the standard protocol as far as medication goes when we started our first embryo transfer. So long story short, we ended up doing 4 embryo transfers with her and 8 embryos during those transfers. So our last transfer with her, I was like, transfer the rest of my embryos because I wanted to leave that clinic. So we transferred 3.
Wow.
And my new RE who I have now, he was like, that is almost malpractice. Like she absolutely should not. But come to find out our embryos, they go through that collapsing and expanding stage, and that to help them hatch before the embryo is transferred into your uterus. Like a normal process. Well, we found out through email and fighting with this doctor a couple months after we left that they were completely collapsed at the time of transfer, and they had been for hours. And so essentially they weren't living.
Oh my
God. This had happened during 2 of our transfers. So probably like half of our embryos, she had transferred not living embryos.
How did you find that out?
Because I had emailed her. We were going back. Is wrong. Like, I mean, I'm not even getting a slight beta. Like the embryos aren't attaching at all. And she had said failed implantation, I guess.
Yeah. Like repeat implantation failure, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what she was chalking it up to. And I was like, no, it seems like it's more. And then I was like, can you talk to your embryologist? Like, get me some stats. Like, I want to know, I want photos. I want to know how the state of the embryos once you transfer them. And then she ended up sending me an email explaining to me the whole collapse and expansion, and they were collapsed for multiple hours, leading her to think that they were deceased. And so she ended up doing my last transfer for free. And I think that she was kind of terrified that we were going to try to like pursue legal action against her. Cause I have, in an email saying that she transferred dead embryos. Obviously, my heart was not there. I could not go back there. I couldn't do it. So we ended up just leaving and just wiping our hands clean of this clinic. We ended up taking like a half a year off, and we went to Kauai and just tried to reconnect, because I felt like, mentally we were just beaten down, and having to start the whole process over was terrifying.
Yes.
So
a couple questions just to put this in like context. How old were you at this point when you took the break and went to Hawaii, and how long all in had you been going at this?
I was, oh my gosh, what was I? It was in 2018.
Okay.
That we had started with her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be 36. I mean, I met my husband when I turned 21.
Right. So young. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like 27, I want to say, when we had started this whole process. So I didn't know much. And like I said before, like, I wish I had opened up about, our struggles and our journey a little bit more, just so I could have been more educated and know like the red flags and know what to ask. But at the same time, it's scary. Like, not everyone feels comfortable about opening up about such a, personal situation.
Completely. And as we always say, like, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, well, you don't even know what to ask, because you don't even know what world you're in at this point. There's so many little intricacies and little terms and aspects and procedures and tests. And oh my God, there's so much. I'm like so immersed in this world. As we do these fertility rally groups every Wednesday night for 90 minutes. And I'm still like not sure what some things are, and I have to Google them. You know what I mean? Like I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to keep it all straight, because everybody's so different. And so I totally feel how you felt that way.
Yeah. Well, and the science is changing daily, you know, and they're becoming more equipped. And I mean, the whole fertility world is it's ever evolving. So yeah, it's insane. But yeah, so we ended up taking some time off, which we both really, really needed. And my sister had worked with a girl who went through IVF, got pregnant, and had a similar experience with like a past RE like we did.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, hey, my friend said, go to this clinic. It's out, it's about a half an hour from you. And the results are really good. The doctor's bedside manners are really great. And I was like, cool, sign me up. And so
you're like, what's that? Good bedside manner? Have not had that yet.
I know. And we ended up having our first meeting with our doctor at Conceptions out here in Colorado in 2019. And I mean, immediately me and Ryan were like, we felt like we were surrounded by family. Like it was we were crying happy tears, both of us. Like we were just so excited to feel that we were seen and heard and protected. And, he only wanted the best. He knew what our goal was, and that was his goal.
I love that. So you felt like finally you're on a team, and you're not like with some ding dong that doesn't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Well, and that was the thing. Like I had started to do my own research, and I had asked our old doctor, I was like, hey, what about intralipids? Or, hey, I think my thyroid's messed up, or hey, this or that. And she shot down everything. Whereas this new doctor, he was like all for it. He was like, let's, I'm listening to you, and let's do it. Like if
that is so awesome.
If your gut is telling you this, like, yes, I trust you and I stand by you.
Yeah. So I think that's so important. Again, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again, but I think it's so important to note, and just for anybody listening, like this might be the first episode of my show that they're listening to. So, I've said this before, but it bears repeating that if you are going to a doctor or have a medical team that you don't feel like is seeing you or hearing you or taking what you have to bring to the table seriously, it doesn't have to be like that. right?
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's so easy to switch. And sometimes you have to be with the doctor you're with because of insurance or location or whatever it may be. But if you have the option to poke around or even get like a telehealth referral or a consultation with somebody else, like just know that your doctor should be your teammate.
Exactly.
And if it's not, and you don't feel like that, it doesn't have to be that way. I think I didn't know that. I mean, I got really, really,
I didn't
lucky.
either.
And I loved my first doctor and it, he was great. But had I not, gotten along with, I wouldn't have known, because it's like, we're always taught doctors know everything. They're experts and you're just the patient and you do what they say. And, not that you have to defy them by any means, but if they're not working with you, I think it's really important to note that they should be. Today's episode is sponsored by Luna. You guys, is there anything better than a restorative night of deep, uninterrupted sleep? Think about it. When was the last time you slept hard? If, like so many other people and like me, you seem to fall short of a really restful and rejuvenating night of sleep, I'm really excited to share a new tool with you guys. And believe me, I've tried all the things: melatonin, bath soaks, meditation apps, over-the-counter sleep aids. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But then I tried the Luna weighted blanket, and I have to tell you all about it and how you can get one for 20% off. Okay, so recently I got something very heavy in the mail and I couldn't figure out what it was, but it was the 15-pound gray classic cotton Luna weighted blanket. I used it that night and Vince and I were fighting over it, and I truly did have a more restful, deeper night of sleep, and for the first time in weeks. I didn't know much about weighted blankets, but I Googled it and I learned that they're based on a method called deep pressure stimulation, which is used by therapists to calm patients by applying firm, even pressure to the body. So therapists have been using this method in clinics for a long time, and now they recommend that patients keep a weighted blanket on hand to experience the same benefits at home. So the pressure of a weighted blanket, this is very cool. It actually promotes the production of melatonin and serotonin, which help reduce anxiety and calm the nervous system. So in a very overwhelming moment, it can help you decompress. And when you're very, very tired, it can help you get an amazing night's sleep. It's kind of like a really tight hug. Thanks to deep pressure stimulation, a Luna weighted blanket helps induce a natural sense of calm and relaxation to both your body and your mind. They're not like the cheap, poorly made blankets filled with plastic beads. Luna's blankets are made with the highest quality, medical-grade glass beads and sewn into a gridwork pattern within their super soft fabrics for perfect weight distribution. How cool is that? Now, after using this, I can definitely attest to how pretty much immediately calming it is to your entire nervous system. It's kind of insane. So guess what? I want you guys to try it too. And you can get 20% off your Luna order with my link plus free shipping when you visit lunablanket.com/infertileaf. Again, it's LUNABLANKET.com/infertileaf. This is the very best Luna offer available right now, so don't wait another night. Order now for free shipping and 20% off your next purchase at lunablanket.com/infertileaf. Sweet dreams. This episode is brought to you by Higher Dose. You guys, I recently tried out the coolest products, something I've never used before, but I've been dying to try, and I keep reading about them everywhere. It was a Higher Dose sauna blanket, and it does all this incredible stuff. It elevates your body's thermal energy, it enhances deep relaxation, and it promotes glowing skin and improves your circulation. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is lay down inside the blanket, turn up the heat, and sweat it out. And it gives you all the benefits of a large, expensive sauna, but with less of a budget and less space. So I used it the other day after a SoulCycle class that totally kicked my ass because the infrared heat helps with post-workout muscle recovery. And it does all these other things too. Some of the benefits are like it improves your circulation, helps bring out your inner glow, promotes restful sleep, improves your mood. And the cool thing, the reason it's called Higher Dose is because the dose, the DOSE in Higher Dose, stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Those are all the brain's happy chemicals that are released from both infrared and from sweating. So guess what? Not only was I feeling so thrilled that I was indulging in this self-care that I'd never done before, I did sleep like a baby that night and I woke up feeling great. My muscles weren't sore or anything. I felt awesome. So a few cool things about this blanket. They offer payment plans starting as low as $50 a month, and they also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So for anybody who is into wellness and self-care, I urge you to try it. You can get your own today at higherdose.com, and you can use the promo code INFERTILEAF at checkout to save 15% off. That's HIGHERDOSE.com/INFERTILEAF, or just go to higherdose.com/INFERTILEAF and save 15% off. Thanks, Higher Dose. This episode is sponsored by Otherworld plant-based baking mixes made with hidden fruits and veggies. The other morning, guys, Sunny and I were craving pancakes, and so we tried this new brand called Otherworld, which makes healthy pancakes, waffles, and brownies. All of Otherworld's mixes are chef-crafted and plant-based, made with hidden fruits and veggies and no added sugar. Another cool thing about Otherworld is that they use upcycled ingredients in all of their mixes to help tackle food waste. So here's what happened in my household. I took out the Otherworld pancake mix, I added water, and that was it. Sunny and I really enjoyed them. They were really tasty, and he had no idea how nutritious his delicious pancakes were either. You guys, I love pulling the wool over his eyes in the name of health. Next, we can't wait to try the brownie mix, which has hidden sweet potato, beetroot, and dates, and the apple cinnamon pancake mix, which has hidden sweet potatoes, apples, and dates. Otherworld's mission is to reimagine childhood favorites and to make healthy eating fun. They've got a clean label, no added sugar, no nuts, no soy, and no dairy, and they're super easy to make. As I said before, all you have to do is add water. If you'd like to try Otherworld, and I have no idea why you wouldn't want to try it, here's the deal. From now until December 31st, Otherworld is offering my listeners, all of you guys, an exclusive discount of 25% off. So head to eatotherworld.com and use my code INFERTILEAF at checkout. That's code INFERTILEAF at eatotherworld.com to get the best deal of the year. Thanks, Otherworld.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And like you said, with my first doctor, I thought that's just how it was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I was supposed to obey her and shut my mouth and just do what I was told. Yeah. And then later on, now years and years later, I'm like, hey, I pay so much money for their services.
They work for you.
Exactly. I always tell my friend that because one of my friends is going through IVF right now that I used to work with. And she was like, I feel like I'm annoying my nurse because I keep emailing her. And I was like, you're paying her. Yeah. Like you pay her. Like 100%. Do not feel annoyed. Don't feel like a nuisance. Like it is her job to help you.
Yep. And nobody's going to advocate better for yourself than you. So, you have to ask those questions. It's hard because we've always been taught, just be good and shut your mouth, Yeah.
Well, and it's even harder when you're on all these hormones that make you just feel sick and depleted and almost worthless in a sense. I've tried really, really hard to recondition my mind when I have to take fertility medications to be this isn't bad. This isn't a fuel. This is a medication that is helping me, achieve our goal.
That's really interesting. I always felt really insecure. It really fucked with my psyche.
Yeah, I can totally see that because I went through that too for a while. I every time I have only given myself 3 injections, but Ryan, my husband, he's the med man. He took care of all that for me. But I remember when we first started, I was I felt like it was poison going into my body, and it would like you said, it would really fuck with my head. And it took me a long time to kind of reframe my mind and be no, this is medication that is going to help me conceive a child. Right. It's something my body needs in order to do this.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. That's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
so what happened next?
Yeah.
We're going on all these tangents.
I know. Yeah. So we took, a half year off, and then we met with our new RE, and we ended up jumping right into another IVF cycle after a bunch of tests. He did every test. We did a whole blood workup. We did an ERA, SHG, an HSG. We did every single uterine test you could think of. He tested my thyroid, which was off the charts high. Whereas he was there's no way you could have ever gotten pregnant with this thyroid. So we got my thyroid under control. And then one of my like T4 in my thyroid came back super elevated, and I had really high natural killer cells, which we did intralipids for that. But my RE's thought process was maybe my natural killer cells were attacking the embryos and not even giving them, a fighting chance as soon as they were implanted. So we ended up doing, a bunch of other medications to, I think Omnitrope, like some sort of human growth hormone, and HCG, like everything before our transfer. And we ended up transferring in 2020 in January. And that was the first time we ever got pregnant. I remember when and this was our first transfer at this new clinic, but I remember when the nurse had called me to tell me my levels, I was like, are you sure you're calling the right patient? Like,
yes.
And so I was in such disbelief.
Yeah, of course. Cause all you've known is heartbreak and loss.
Yeah.
Not working up until that point. I get it.
Yeah. So and everything, we graduated from our fertility clinic. Like, that was a whole mixture of emotions because they were like my lifeline for so long. It was a very uneventful pregnancy, which I was happy about because, leading up to this, it was failure after failure and, road bump, and it was hard. But yeah, we ended up having our son during the thick of COVID.
Oh my gosh. So when was he born? What, in 2020? What month?
October 17th. So yeah, so he's going to be coming up on 2 here.
And what we have in common, I have to say, and hopefully it's fine because you're on social media talking about your kid, but his name is Everett, and you call him Sunny. And I have a daughter named Ever and a son named Sunny.
Oh my gosh. I knew your son was Sunny, but I did not know your daughter was Ever.
Yes.
I love that.
We are like so on the same wavelength about that.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Yeah. I call him Ever as a nickname, but Sunny, I wasn't announcing his name on social media when we were pregnant, and I always called him my sunshine. And then it like morphed into Sunny. And then when he was born, Sunny.
Yes.
Instead
makes
of
sense. I love the like organic nicknames because I actually call my son Buns more than I call him Sunny because Sun Buns. So he's like Buns, Mr. Buns. And it just like evolved, so I get it.
Yeah. I know. I love those little nicknames. I know I was like nervous at first. I was like, I want him to know his name is actually Everett and not Sunny. So I like called him just Everett for a long time, but
yeah,
he now comes like, I didn't mean him to sound like a dog, but
he heals.
Hey, I was a dog mom for many, many years.
Yes. So is he going to stick with Sunny, like as his name, like in school and stuff?
I don't know. Okay. I guess we'll let him decide.
Yeah.
But yeah, Everett, Ever, Sunny. Yeah.
Wild. So tell me a little bit more about, if you don't mind, just pregnancy after infertility, just backtracking a little bit. Tell me about that for you. Cause I know it's so anxiety ridden and it's, really tough for a lot of people. What was your experience?
I almost felt like I was living in someone else's body. Like it was such an outer body experience that I had such a hard time enjoying it because I was living in the future. I was like, I just need him to be here. I need him to be in my arms because I won't be able to function until he's right here with me.
Totally. And it really robs you of some of those moments of joy, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of wanting to get it over with and get to the good part and get to the safe part.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I know a lot of women who, go through infertility and they finally get pregnant. They almost have a sense of feeling like their baby is safer when the baby's in their belly. And whereas with me, it was, I did not feel safe with him in me. Like I wanted him to get here earthside. But yeah, it was a really wild feeling. And the timing was freaking bizarre because we had found out we were pregnant on February 7th. And then the whole world shut down soon after that. And so every single appointment that I went to, I was by myself. Like Ryan couldn't come to any of them. Yeah. So that was really hard because,
so hard.
After so many years of trying to get to this place and this point, I had figured my rock and my lifeline would be right by my side during like really fragile, high anxiety moments, but he wasn't. or he couldn't be because of, the pandemic.
Right.
But yeah, so it was really hard to like just be pregnant and enjoy every second. But I feel like my turning point was like 20 weeks. Like once I got halfway through the pregnancy and I started to feel him move, that's when I was like, oh, this is really happening. So I would do like the little Doppler every night and listen to his heart and, just I think I probably held my belly like all day.
Did you ever have a moment where the Doppler didn't work and you couldn't find it? Because that's always, I never had a Doppler because I don't even know if they were like really widely available, not 9 years ago, but 7 years ago when I was pregnant. But, I've talked to people who were like, I can't use it because I'm worried I'm not going to use it right. And then I'm going to freak out. And, it's tricky.
Yeah. We had a rule actually, because there was one time where I had done it and I couldn't find the heartbeat and I called Ryan, my husband, like hysterical. And he was like, okay, new rule. If we're going to use it, I'm only the one who's allowed to use it.
I love Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. So he knew like exactly where to put it, and his little heartbeat would pop up and then I'd be fine. And until the next day, and I mean, every day was just, it was crazy. It was hard because it just felt like we had worked so hard to get to this moment, and it didn't feel real,
Yeah.
So, and then once we finally had him, I had I was induced because he was just not coming. I think I was like at 41 weeks and I have like a pretty small torso. So his legs were all the way pushed up in my ribs and I could barely like breathe at the end of my pregnancy. And I was just miserable. And my doctor's like, we can induce. And so I ended up, opting for that. And I want to say it was like a 2 or 3 day, I kind of blocked it out, 2 or 3 day process. And we went in on a Thursday and I finally had him on a Saturday morning.
Okay.
So it was really, really long.
Yes.
And it wasn't full of like magical instant connection. I was so fucked up on drugs, like because I had retained placenta when he was born. And so I had to go into surgery right immediately after he was born to try to get my placenta out, which was just a whole other nightmare, which,
yes,
but yeah, it was,
so a complicated birth story that, you don't need to get into that stuff if you don't want to, or you can, but just a long,
So, but yeah, it was just a really, I didn't expect that. I thought I didn't have a doula. I didn't go to any classes because of COVID. I was terrified to leave the house, to talk to anybody in person, which I know now I could have done virtually, but I was not prepared. And Ryan wasn't either. Like my OB was great, but like your OB is only there for the birth. Like he wasn't there to like coach me through everything. And the nurses were great, but it was a whole other ball game that I was just, and I wanted my mom and sister to be in there for that reason, but they couldn't because of COVID. So it was just a very, like traumatic experience, but also beautiful at the same time because he was finally here in my arms.
Totally. But not what you were expecting, right? Isn't that funny? Like it never really turns out how you think it's going to be, I feel like.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, it took me a long time to like have that, when you hear about that, like instant connection between a mom and a baby, and it's just like fireworks. And I didn't have that until we got home when he was like 3 weeks old. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was just sitting on the couch and I was like, oh, just like this powerful feeling just like rushed over me. That like magical feeling happened about 3 weeks after we got home after birth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy. But because of all my issues with retained placenta and birth, I ended up developing something called Asherman syndrome.
Okay.
Which is scarring. It's not similar to endometriosis, but people compare it to it because it's scarring of the uterus, and it's where uterus essentially like fuses shut with scar tissue, because of so much trauma being caused to it.
Yeah.
So last year I ended up having 3 surgeries, like DNCs and laparoscopy to remove it all.
Was it painful?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because I wasn't bleeding every month, but my body was trying to bleed. So I would almost bleed internally.
Oh my God.
Experience
sorry.
all the cramps and all the PMS symptoms, but the blood wasn't ever able to leave my body.
So there's like nowhere for it to go.
Right.
Oh my God. That's intense. So you had to go through all these surgeries. How was like the recovery, and how did you deal with that with a little one at home? That's so tricky.
It was really hard. My mother-in-law came out to help. My mom helped. My sister helped. Ryan took a bunch of time off work, which was incredible. But the postpartum phase, it's pretty difficult to begin with. But now, I was dealing with postpartum plus trying to heal from birth. So once all was said and done, my last surgery was in last year of November.
Okay.
So in 2021. So it took about a full year, between breaks and healing and all that. And because Asherman's is so rare, a lot of doctors think that as soon as you get a surgery, you should rush into a transfer. If that's what you want, if you're trying to conceive. So we ended up doing a transfer in March, and mentally I was not, ready for it because I was still dealing with, PTSD from birth. Like I didn't want anybody down in that region.
Right. Of course.
So it was a crazy experience when we went back to the clinic.
Yeah.
Because,
tell me what it was like.
I thought it was going to be more like happy and like excited to be there, but there was so much resistance with my heart that I knew I shouldn't have been there, but I felt rushed, like, cause we just had that surgery to clear up my uterus. And I was like, okay, we got to jump back into this. And now looking back, I wish I would have just been like, nope, like I need to heal.
Right.
Whereas now we're going to do another transfer later this year or early next year. And I'm ready. I'm like excited. And this is the first time that I've felt hopeful and excited again, you know?
So can you talk about what happened in March? You did the transfer
So we did the transfer and we did everything the same as we did for Sunny. And because we're like, it worked, like, let's just copy and paste. And,
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And we're like, if it's not broken, or let's not fix it. So let's just do everything exactly the same. And I was on the same drugs. We repeated, the SHG just to make sure I had no scarring. No scarring was showing in my uterus, which was great. And we did the transfer in March. It was weird with our transfer with Sunny. I had looking at that embryo picture, I was like instantly connected. I was like, oh my gosh, this is our baby. And when I held the embryo photo of our transfer in March, I felt nothing. I almost didn't want to be there. I was like, this is too much. And a part of me felt like selfish. I didn't want to take away time from Sunny. He was not even a year yet. And every person is ready at different times to introduce a sibling. But I know, like deep down in my heart, I just wasn't ready. And I wish I would have listened to my, gut, but living
right. Of course. Yeah.
So yeah, we did the transfer and then we got the dreaded call. I didn't test early. I've never been an early tester. Like
same. Yeah.
I just hold on to hope, like the last second. And, we ended up getting the call and I just instantly knew by her voice, like I knew it was negative.
Oh,
but I think my beta was like below a 4. It was like 3 point something. So it sounds like, in my eyes, the embryo tried to implant and then it just didn't make it. And I swear it was just too early. Like my uterus is still healing from surgeries. And I had only had like one normal period since then, So So yeah, this time going into this will be our 7th transfer.
Okay. I'm sorry that you went through all that in March. That's hard.
Yeah, it was. And that transfer was so much different. Like the feelings were like, because I knew what that embryo could have turned into because of Sunny, like I had never had anything to compare it to because our transfers previously were always failed. Like I didn't have anything. I didn't even have a positive test to look at. So it hit on so many different levels, and trying to just be strong and, not completely lose it in front of Everett. Like that was hard. I remember reading him a book one night, and it was talking about like just continuing to be strong and shine through and, climb those mountains. And I was bawling, and he just looked up at me, and Ryan was like, at my feet, sitting there listening to me read this book to Everett, and Everett just looked up at me and like grabbed my face and was like kind of wiping my tears. And it was just, that was my like turning point. Like, okay, like I have to break free. Like I had my pity party. Like I have to be healthy and strong for him.
I love those moments when you like, there's like a shift, right? Like something shifted and everything came together, and the energy in that room right there was like, okay, it's time. Right.
Yep.
That's
and
so cool. I just got the chills.
Oh, yeah. And it was wild. And then I didn't, cry after that. I was like, okay, that's what I needed. And I was trying so hard to like bottle up all my emotions in front of Sunny. Like I didn't want him to see me hurt. And he's so young, like he won't remember, but I didn't want him to feel like he didn't matter,
Of course. Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's just those things are mom.
It's like the mom guilt and the trying to like sort it all out. And, but you're such a good mom, Jess, and he knows how strong you are. And like, you're setting such a good example for him just by going through everything you've been going through and with the resolve that you have,
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. It's crazy. Like when you're in the thick of it, like when you just want to grow your family so hard and you deal with all these obstacles, you almost become like robotic. Like you just keep going and going and going,
Okay. So coming up on transfer number 7. Okay. So how are you feeling like right now about everything?
I have my first uterine test tomorrow, which is the SHG, that saline ultrasound. And I'm like pumped. Like I'm excited. I'm really praying for like, positive results. I hope no scarring came back, because that would just derail everything, which hopefully we don't hit that speed bump. But I'm excited. I ordered, all my medications because we're doing a biopsy. I'm repeating our ERA. And then we're also doing this new test, which I'm totally unfamiliar with, but it's called Emma and Alice.
Yes.
So they're going to test for like a bacterial overgrowth. And I forget what the other one is. Maybe like inflammation. Do you know much about that test?
I do. I mean, I never had them, but a lot of our Fertility Rally members have them, and we talk about them a lot. So the Alice test it detects bacteria.
Okay.
And then the Emma test is, I think it's like the endometrial health. So like, your, would that be like your uterine lining?
Yeah.
Okay. But if anybody's listening, this is not a medical show.
No.
Please Google it yourself and do some more research. But yes, there are 2 tests that are newish. But a lot of people have been doing them and getting some more information, which just helps, tweak the protocol and helps the doctor or the medical team be armed with even more information so they know what to do and how to treat you. So I think it's great that they're out there.
Yeah. And I'm excited. I'm hopeful like for answers. And we weren't going to repeat the ERA, that receptive test, to kind of show like your fertile or your the best implantation window, because we had done one in the past and it was receptive. But so much has changed. And I mean, especially after birth, like, or even for like a uterus that has not gone through a birth, I personally feel those tests should be repeated, Yeah.
So, well, tell me what you said before we started recording, which I thought was so interesting about how you want to be treated. Like, Do you remember?
Allie, what did I say?
I'll tell you and then you can say it yourself.
45 minutes ago.
You said you want to be treated like a new patient. Like you want to.
Oh yeah. That's what I told when I went to our RE, when we had our, what the fuck appointment, in March. I was like, okay, going forward, pretend I'm brand new, like pretend I'm a new patient. I went through a birth, a crappy, healing process. Like everything has changed in me. So don't look back at my records. Don't even look at my chart. Like treat me like a brand new patient.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's so important too, because you're right. A lot has changed, not only with your own body, but with medicine and with treatments and with these tests and all that. So it's good to, if anybody's spacing out transfers or even retrievals or whatever procedures, it's good to kind of take a step back sometimes, because I know we oftentimes get these blinders on. It's like, just do the same thing, do what. And some doctors too are just like, I'm just going to do what I've always done, but it's worth, noting that every cycle is different.
Totally. Yeah. And a lot can change for women in a couple months,
Right.
I mean, what do they say? Like it takes 3 months to whatever egg it takes like 3 months to produce a follicle. So that tells you right there, our bodies are changing.
Yeah.
Every 3 months.
And I think things can also be different based on the time of the month and where you're at in your menstrual cycle and all that stuff. Like it's pretty wild. There's so many different factors. That's why we're always like, this is a crapshoot. Like it really is. Like at the end of the day,
it is.
One thing could help or one little thing could hinder. You never even really know what it is. Like
you don't.
That's why I also feel like there's some magic involved in all of this, that it's like the universe has to step in and be like, all right, it's going to work. When it does work, it's a fucking miracle. Like
it is. It is. It absolutely 100% is. Even me and my husband and doctors are intervening and trying everything we can. It is still a miracle that this works. Even though my husband and my RE and everybody, God has intervened trying to get us pregnant, it really does. It's a miracle that he's here.
Thank you so much for listening. And thanks again to Jess. I love you, Jess. I always love talking to you. Thank you for doing that. Guys, follow her on Instagram at One Sunny Story. It's SUNNY. And her content, like I said, is really great and authentic and raw. And she's very approachable if you have any questions or want to talk to her about anything she's been through. So definitely. Also, big exciting announcement about Fertility Rally. We're doing a Black Friday deal right now where we are offering 1 month free to new members. So we've never done this before, except when we very first launched. We're bringing it back because we want people to see how incredible our support groups are and our Facebook groups. And we'd love to just keep it growing and going and support more people. So definitely check out our Instagram at Fertility Rally for the Black Friday code and special. And yeah, give us a shout if you guys are interested. If you have any questions, let me know. You can also always email me at infertileafstories@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at infertileafstories as well. But Fertility Rally, we always say it's the worst club with the best members, and we would love to support you there. So check it out. Thanks again for listening. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. It's our Black Friday sale. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on all smart beds when you add a base. And Cyber Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
With Black Friday savings at the Home Depot, you can get top brand laundry sets with the latest tech to tackle any mess you might face this holiday, like automatic fabric and load size detection for spills of any size, from cookies and milk on your favorite holiday sweater to the toddler of the house discovering just how fun cranberry sauce can be. Make more magic this holiday season. Let your new appliances handle the mess. Shop Black Friday savings and get up to 30% off, plus instantly save up to $750 on select LG laundry sets at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer valid November 2nd through 30th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.